Here now is Guy Benson, Townhall.com political editor and a Fox Business contributor. Good to see you, Guy. So I wasn't that surprised. I mean, the details were horrific, particularly when they start out with that trip that she did to the border last week, which seemed totally chaotic and a nightmare for anybody who's ever been involved in things like this. But again, these kind of stories have followed her for years, haven't they?
I think that's the point, David, because there's some emphasis in this Politico story on the chief of staff on the vice president's team, but that chief of staff just joined Kamala world within the last year, right? Obviously, she hadn't been vice president before. She came in from another part of Democratic politics. And if you go back in time and look over the years, and you go back to California and Kamala Harris's rise in that state, and then her time in the U.S. Senate, her time as a presidential candidate, where, of course, that candidacy just crashed and burned.
Yeah.
You remember, she had a big, splashy, fairly impressive rollout, and then didn't even make it to Iowa. And there was all sorts of, recrimination and backbiting in her campaign. There were reports about this sort of along the way as she has developed as a political figure, both in a statewide context and nationally. And now here we have it as Vice President of the United States with a very friendly press corps to Biden-Harris. These stories are still getting written. At some point, David, I don't have any special insight here. I don't get on the phone with insiders for Kamala Harris every night. But you have to imagine that the common denominator throughout all those years and all those different positions, it's not a staffer here or an intern there or even a chief of staff at the moment. It is one person, and it's the vice president herself. That's the common denominator. Draw your own conclusions.
But we have never had a vice president that is in a more important position than her, considering the age and what many people would say the failing qualities of our president. I mean, she was picked hopefully because of her youth, et cetera, that should, God forbid, something happen to President Biden, or at least he decides he's too old to run for another term, she would step in. Now she looks less prepared for that than ever.
Well, and there was a counter piece. It seemed like there was a bit of a leak war going on, David, because there was another piece out there saying this is a trap for Kamala Harris. They're setting her up to fail. They keep giving her tough issues in her portfolio, like the border. Why are they doing this? And my reaction to that, by the way, is, do you think Mike Pence was thrilled about getting, coronavirus on his plate and then having to deal with that? No, you take the job and the delegation from the president, even if it's really challenging, you go for it. And her performance on the border issue alone in immigration has been extremely subpar. And so I can understand why they would want to blame this on other people. But ultimately, again, this is an opportunity for a leader to prove herself on a tough gig.
Well,
if she's unable to do that, she's out there blaming or having...
I mean, let's face it, that the last vice president, her predecessor, ended up developing warp speed, which ended up creating these extraordinary vaccines and other medications to combat the virus. So he ended up doing a pretty good job. So far, there's no sign of any improvement at all with the border. And I just want to ask also another qualitative question. This President Biden sort of prides himself on a kindly White House, on one where there's no bullying. In fact, there was one staff member already who had to leave. But it's clear that with Trump, you had this out there kind of aggression. That was his style. With this administration, it looks like there's a lot of surreptitious rumblings underneath the surface that make it almost worse than if you were just out there being aggressive.
That's right. And there's a story out today following up on the Politico story saying that the White House is concerned, not about the coverage of Harris, but the dysfunction and that sort of dour atmosphere that you were talking about that was quoted in the Politico story. And to that point, David, this is what also very much interests me as someone who operates in the D.C. area. In that Politico story, they said it right in the first few paragraphs. They had 22 sources, many of them off the record or on background, not named, 22 sources who wanted apparently to talk to Politico about what a rotten environment it is. In the vice presidential office, dating back years. There are people eager to stir the pot on this, and that is not a great position. If you're the principal or if you're the White House, if you've got a lot of your own people whispering to reporters, and we're just a few months into this administration, not a great sign.
No, not a great, particularly from a fawning press, a press that can barely say a negative word about the ice cream that the president's eating. Guy Benson, great to see you. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it.